YouTube, Sam here. Well, we're in front of the 01 Ford Escape here. I don't know if you can see it. There's definitely some antifreeze leakage down here. And I'm pretty sure it's the water pump has gone to poop, so to speak. And so I'm going to have to replace that. So that's what this video is going to be. Getting ready to go under the car here. Now, as you can see, it is definitely weeping some antifreeze down here. I got it up on 4 jack stands right there underneath it, so because I just don't trust ramps. But anyhow, so here we are going underneath it here, and you want to go to the passenger side here, and I need to grab a light. So we're going under the car here, and right up on the side, on the passenger side over here, you can see where the body panel kind of swoops around. And you're going to want to go up to that area there. We are in that area now, and if you reach up, there's going to be a hose going here and here, more than likely. And up above those, see that right there, it's a little white thing, and it's got an Allen head inside of a, I don't know what size wrench, I'll tell you when I find it, but anyway, you need to turn that, and that's where your antifreeze will come out of the radiator. And we're going to go ahead and get that all drained out. Now obviously I'm having deep well 19 millimeter and socket and wrench, and I'm just going to loosen it up until something starts hopefully draining. Ridiculously small amount of antifreeze that is in this thing, which I seriously doubt it, or if it just takes forever, but I don't know what's going on. I'm going to go over the passenger side here, and you can see the hose there. There's 2 of them, and I'm going to go ahead and pop those off, see if we can get some more antifreeze out of this radiator. I'm hoping I don't have some larger issues, but I'm going to just undo that upper hose right there. Just a matter of loosening up the hose clamp and popping that off, see if we can get some more airflow, because this does not have a radiator cap on it. The only radiator cap for filling and stuff is right there in the bottle. Well, that didn't seem to do a whole lot, so I stuck it back on there. I'm going to close this up. I'm actually going to bring it down off the jack stands. I'm hoping I don't have consulted my Chilton, which I should have done earlier. But anyways, it talks about this having like actually block plugs and things that you pull out when you're flushing the antifreeze and draining the antifreeze, but I'm not going to do that. I've got the pan down underneath the motor where I'm going to be working on it at, and as fluid drains, it'll drain, I guess. I don't know. I still think that doesn't seem like there was enough radiator or antifreeze in the radiator, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Now the next part is I've taken the car down off the lift, and your car should look something like this, and the first thing you got to do is take this cover off of it. And if you're like me, you won't have to worry about that, because somebody's already started that project for you, because idiots don't know how to put bolts back in. Anyway, you should have to have, I don't know, what, 3? Yeah, there should be 3 nuts actually that go on here. One right here, one right here, and one right here, and then this should pull off. Another thing I noticed actually is mine doesn't have one of the metal things, and one of these popped out. I pressed it back in, but anyhow, needless to say, once you take them off, save them in a safe place and put them back on, please, because if you don't do it, I promise you I will be the one that buys the car after you. Anyhow, so where we want to be is actually over more towards the driver's side. Let's see what you can see here. I'll bring you that way. And it's down in this area. The air box is here, your throttle body's right here, and your pulleys and belt is right here, and we're going to have to start out by taking that belt off. And the first thing you need to do when doing anything when you're working on your car is unhook the battery. Really all you need to do is unhook the negative, but honestly I was doing something and the positive battery cable got in my way, and I unhooked that too. Safer than sorry, I guess. You can unhook both of them, but in theory you should only have to do the negative one. You choose to do what you want to do. Also, it looks here like this is going to have to come off, and this just has kind of a clip that sticks onto this bolt. There we go. It actually came off fairly easy. You just push down on this little thing here and it pops right off. Okay. And alright, so now I got you a little closer here, and there's the tensioner right there, and I can, like I said, I can by hand move that. I don't know, like I said, I don't know if I should be able to do that, but anyhow, I'm just gonna move that forward and pop the belt off here. And of course you can't really see that, but I got it pushed forward. I'm just gonna pull the belt off and let that free, and that brings the belt off. Pretty simple belt pulley that we just took the belt off of, and right beside that is the upper radiator hose that goes into this plastic piece here, and that's just in my way. Super simple to get off of there, so I'm going to take it out of my way. This is one of those things, probably don't have to do it, but just going to get it out. I'm going to do with the same thing with the lower one, which is right below it, but we'll start with this one. I'm going to do that off camera. It's just undoing hose clamps and removing a hose. That gave me more room. It was just hooked to this, popped it off. I actually didn't even have to take it off of there. I just kind of set it up over there. Now I'm going to get to the lower one, which is right here, and I believe this is probably where the thermostat is, which I'll probably replace that while I'm in here with a fail-safe one anyhow. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen that hose clamp off, pop that off, get that off, and right down here is your water pump. Right there. And I got to figure out where the bolts are at to pop that off of there. And there is where we just popped that hose off. I actually stuffed it up behind the battery here, so I didn't have to pull it off the bottom. So far I haven't, ting, perfect sound, perfect pitch. So far I haven't had to, or haven't lost any antifreeze out of anything, which does kind of concern me. Tensioner off here. It appears to be 8mm, and it also appears that all the bolts for the water pump are 8mm as well. Oh, ow. That is on there. Make sure this isn't some reverse thread thing. Okay. Put that aside. And we're going to go down here and just start popping loose the water pump bolts here. You know what? Yeah. It really doesn't appear that you have to do all of them, but maybe according to the book, it still seems like I shouldn't have to take these all off, but it appears that they all need to come off, and they are two different sizes, so I'm a little curious about that. 8mm, and I'm assuming those kind of look like about 10mm. I'm going to take all the 8mm ones out first and see what happens, and if I have to, then I will finish off with the 10mm ones here. As I expected, I took those 8mm off. One here, one here, one here. Just 3 of them. All the rest, I believe, are 10. I have actually not looked at that. Yep, they appear to be 10mm. But this is just floating in here now. I mean, I can completely pull this. I've made a decision. I'm actually going to pull that whole thing out of there, for the simple fact that I am going to be doing my rear motor mount, which is completely stripped out of the top of the transmission back there, and I've got to remove a bunch of this stuff to actually access it from the top. I'm going to remove all this stuff just because I'm going to be removing a bunch of stuff, including maybe the starter there. just to get it out of my way. So in the aspect of that, I am going to remove all this. Now in your way, you could leave that in there the way it is, pull out the 10 millimeters. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5, maybe 5 or 6, looks like 4 or 5 10 millimeter bolts, and just pop the front of that off where the pulley is there. But also in the aspect of filming, I'll go ahead and yank that out of there for you, and you'll be able to see it a little better. But you really could do it without pulling all the hoses and stuff off. But I'm just going to go ahead and do that and get them out of my way. I'm going to do that off camera because honestly, I think if I wasn't planning on doing what I'm going to do later on, I probably wouldn't. I would probably leave it in there and just pull that front piece off. We'll see how easy it is to get the hoses off. Well, there it is, all said and done and out. Probably the hardest part was getting this one off here. It had kind of these kind of clamps where they squeeze them together with the hose clamp pliers or water pump pliers, whatever you want to call them. Anyways, so this one actually was hooked to the one that's for the thermostat housing. There's a whole thermostat housing. There's one here and one here that hooks onto it. And anyway, and then this one goes back and up into the motor somewhere. And it was probably one of the more difficult ones. And I think if it had a hose clamp on it, it wouldn't have been so hard. It's just these kind of clamps kind of suck. And then the next one was this one down here, which had a hose clamp on it, but it was very difficult to get to. And that one goes down in front of the motor here. Otherwise, it came off fairly easy. Whoa. But I would say that I would probably, if I wasn't doing some more stuff, I would have probably just left this in here, popped these off, and pulled this housing out. And here we are. Got it in a bucket, sitting on a bench where I can easily use it. Not really a bench, a table. Anyway, and I'm just going to pick a bolt and start undoing it. This is another thing that might be easier in the car. It's around fairly tight. Once they pop, they really kind of sucks because I'm not seeing a whole lot. Well, yeah, I was going to say I'm not seeing a whole lot of weepage from this. I believe that's the weep hole right there, but it really doesn't look that bad. This water pump actually doesn't even look all that old. And I don't see whether it's Fomoco. So it's oh no, the back part's original, but I bet you this looks like it actually is probably an aftermarket. I don't know. I might be having a different problem. There it is. That doesn't appear to be anything wrong with that. I'm not seeing where it's would have been leaking at. Don't see any problems with this, but yet again, I'm already here. I'm already torn apart. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the thermostat. Could be that I'm having a thermostat problem, but I don't know why it is leaking. There's definitely something leaking, and it was underneath this, so it's got to be something, you know, maybe this was fairly new and the guy did a crappy job of putting it in, and it's leaking from somewhere. Who knows? But I'm not going to chance it and put it all back together and have a problem. So I'm going to replace the water pump here. Now I got to go to the parts store and see what all I get. I'm assuming it's just this part, but it might be this whole thing. I'm not sure. We shall find out. Stay tuned. Later. Next thing we have is the water pump, which really I kind of need this part to finish off the water pump, but I went ahead and I ordered the water pump and the thermostat all on Amazon. You can choose where you want to go to find your stuff. It says GMB on the box. Now, all you do get, at least with this kit, is the gasket and the water pump the actual pump part, I guess you would say. You don't get the housing here, so you got to reuse the housing. So if you have a problem with your housing, you're going to have to make sure that whatever one you get has the housing with it. Now I've kind of pulled them aside and they look very identical. The pulleys look about the same. Everything looks about the same. The only thing that's different is this is kind of a shinier chrome, I guess. I don't know what it's made out of. And there's this big button here, but I don't notice that there's anything about that on the back that really matters. And I also flipped it over and all the holes seem to be the same. The way it's machined seems to be the same. I gotta say, it actually kind of is machined flatter here on this one, and this one goes kind of around in a, I don't know, oval kind of shape here, and as to where this is more starts flat right here and then goes around. So I don't know if that'll affect anything. But all in all, the parts that mount together appear to be the same. So I'm going to go ahead and use it. From ordering and stuff like that, it does seem like there could be two different ones of these depending on what month your car was built. I really wish manufacturers would get away from doing that. I do not believe this is an original Ford part to begin with. I do not see Ford anywhere on this. And I don't know about the housing. I haven't really looked. Yeah, the housing says Fomoco, so it appears to be. Wow. Now when I turned that upside down, this just kind of came out of here, and I never noticed that before. That didn't seem to come in here, so we're going to leave that in there. Hopefully that wasn't something that is supposed to stay in, but that's beside the point. We'll find that out if it doesn't work later. Anyhow, we're talking too much here, so you can type in blah 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 right here. But the two parts seem to be the same. I'm going to go ahead and use it. Honestly, I don't think this is bad. I think my whole problem to begin with was probably this, and these, because these are stripped out, it's been leaking out of here or out of the back here, and this thermostat probably went bad and it allowed too much pressure to build up and it started leaking here and then closed up, heated up the motor. But since I have it all apart, I have the parts to do it. I'm just going to put the new parts in. May keep this for later on down the road if I have a problem and I have no money. I may try this out again. Anyhow, let's get on with it. Let's not get crap inside there. And then I am going to actually, this piece seems to pull out here. It kind of popped out, but it's sort of pressed in there, so I'm hoping I'm not having a problem with this housing part here coming out and hitting on the fins here. Anyway, we need to clean this up. I'm about to lose battery. I'm going to pull this off as cleanly as I can. And then you're just going to take your favorite scraper and start scraping away at this. Now be careful you don't nick any of these edges if you're using a razor blade, which is what I usually use, but you got to be real careful if you're using a razor blade. And that we will make sure works with our new one here. Let's hope. You know what? I gotta flip that around, I think. That appears to be good. I don't know why this little piece is here. I have a feeling, oh, okay, because it comes around right here. So this might come off, it might stay. Whatever it decides to do, we will do. Now, I am getting a little worried here. I see metal shavings right here, which leads me to believe that maybe whatever's holding this in stopped doing so. And I'm hoping that could be what happened, is a piece of something broke, hopefully on the piece that I'm replacing, went down in there, got caught in the thermostat probably, and blocked it up. And hopefully it didn't go any further than that. I do not see anything on here that appears to be completely broken or anything. There's kind of a little, but it looks like a machined in piece right there. We got the gasket in, everything like that. My camera did shut off kind of in the middle of when I was putting it together here, but basically put it back together. It's not real difficult. Let the sealant dry, and then we're gonna bring her back in. Quite honestly, it's been a little while, so I don't remember exactly how everything goes. I might have to go back and look at some of the video myself, but I do remember where this part goes and where it bolts onto. And I do believe I want to put this in before I do the thermostat, so that's the next part. So I'm going to put this in and get stuff out of my way here. Now the first thing down here, there's this hose down here that we got to put on first, and that I think is going to be no fun task to try and get in there, because I can't get my big fat hands down in there very well and put light on the subject. So you probably won't see this, but there we go. That wasn't that bad. But I do have to tighten up there's a regular hose clamp on this one. It doesn't have the spring clamp, so I need to get a screwdriver down in here, tighten that up. So once that's tightened, I'll be back. Got that down here, tighten up with a snubby wrench there. Now we got this hose that goes on here, if I can get it out, and that actually goes up in here. And I gotta look at the thermostat here and see if I want to put that hose on first. Let's see, that's going to go right in that area there. So I think I can put this on first. I'll put the smaller one on the thermostat here and then pop it on there. So I'll do that when I'm doing the thermostat. Alright, so next one, the big hose here. Get the light out of my way, so hopefully it doesn't end up in yours, but it might, which it did. And they don't give you a whole lot of room to play with these, so I'll pull it back off a little bit. You don't want it right dead up to the end there. Now I got to get in there and get the clamp up on there. Now make sure, like when I put that just like that, that's where it's actually going to be. So you want to make sure that before you snug everything up or do anything, you make sure that you can actually put the bolts in where they need to go. I found these robo grips, at least when I was using it outside the car, actually work better than the water pump pliers for these, because they just kind of automatically squish them down pretty good. But we'll see for this one if it works. Right now it's working, sort of. And I know my hands are just in the way, but there's just not too many places to put the camera. There we go. And that appears to be on. I'm not a huge fan of those kind of clips, but as long as things aren't leaking, we'll just go with it. Alright, now I gotta put that up in there. There's 3 bolts that you took out to get it off. Put the same 3 back. So it doesn't really matter which one goes where. Just put them in and start them by hand so you don't strip them out. I think we're pretty good there. And I believe these were 8mm. Not absolutely positive, but I believe they were. Well, we got it in. I put the belt tensioner on. I don't know why words escape me when I'm filming. Otherwise, I'd be able to tell you exactly what it was. So now it's time for the belt. Now, this belt looks really good. Like I said, I actually think that water pump was probably perfectly fine, but because I had already taken it out and was already messing with it, I decided I was just gonna be better safe than sorry and go ahead and replace it. I had the part. I'll keep it. Never know, if I have a problem later on down the road, I can test it out. It's not that hard to do. Now, as far as the hoses, they would go into the thermostat, which, as you can see, is not here right now. So if you want to know how the rest of this goes, you're going to have to watch my thermostat video. I'm doing a video on, it was going to be replacing a thermostat, now it's going to be replacing the whole thing, because I had an issue with that. So anyhow, so go check out that video if you want to see more. But I think that's about it. Tensioners on, belts on, pumps in, everything seems alright, so I'm gonna go with it. If I have some squeaking belts and that kind of stuff, a lot of times when you mess with tensioners, you actually end up having to replace them. I don't know why that is, but a lot of times you end up replacing tensioners because after you pull them apart, they just don't work for some reason. Anyhow, that was fairly easy. Pull a bolt out here, put a bolt back in there, and a new tensioner on. It's so simple, I'm not even going to bother making a video even if I had to do it. I may tell you if I had to do it. But I think we're done with this one. So this is the pump video. Go check out, I did the motor mount on this, the rear one. I've done a starter video and the thermostat video. Yeah, go check all that out. The rest of it I think will be in this video, any of the stuff I had to take off or that kind of stuff anyway. So this is Sam, Jack of all, master of none. You all have a good one.